Good morning, everybody. We are going live to talk about autism. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. We're just barely getting started here in this live today. I'm an hour later than normal, but here we are to talk about autism, to talk about maybe you have a child you think is autistic. Maybe they're diagnosed and you're not sure what to do. Maybe you think you might be autistic. Maybe you're just someone who's interested in learning about autism. However this applies to you, welcome. Thank you for being here. Destiny, thank you for being here. Yeah, I'll bring you up. I'm just trying to get started here. Give me a few minutes because these first 2 or 3 minutes really are crucial to getting the live going, but then I'll bring you up for sure. So if everyone could be tapping on that screen, I really do want to get the conversations going, get the likes going. That does tell the live stream if we can if this is, a real legit helpful live. So go ahead and be tapping on that screen and put in the chat here. I want to get to know y'all. Where are y'all from? Where are you all from? Put the state that you're in the chat, or put the country that you're in if you're outside of the United States. I'm from Utah, everybody. I'm from Utah. Arkansas. Love that, Lorena. Bronx, New York. Gorgeous. Love it. Love it, love it. Ella has a 3-year-old. That's great. We got Kentucky. We got Kentucky here. Ohio. I love it. Where else are you guys from? A little bit about myself as you're coming in. I'm an autism dad. I got a couple kids diagnosed with autism. 3.5-year-old and an almost 2-year-old, and we're just trying to get by here. So I'm an autism dad first. I'm also a board certified behavior analyst. So I've been working with people who are autistic for, over a decade. And now I run a company that serves people with autism. And I just try as hard as I can to advocate for autistic people. And I go live on a daily basis. And all of you guys just coming in, you better be putting where are you from in the chat. That's what we're trying to do right now. I want to get to know y'all. Alabama, South Africa, Boston, Massachusetts. I'm from Utah. Anyone else from Utah here? Cape Town, South Africa. Washington. Love it. Vegas. Okay, not too far from me. A few hours. California. Great. We got a couple people from California. Wonderful. The UK. Very cool. I am so glad that you're all here. I am so glad, you guys. Be tapping on that screen. As soon as we get to 20,000 likes, we do go through the autism news of the day. Denver, Colorado, Nevada, South Africa. I love seeing people from South Africa here. We do tend to get some followers from there. Does autism present differently in girls than boys in their adolescence? Yes, it does. Now we don't know if it's biological or societal, but what we typically see is that girls tend to mask more often than boys, or earlier than boys. And so a lot of people think, and that's why it's missed. I mean, we have 1 in 20 boys are diagnosed with autism, and only 1 in 70 girls. It's a boy is more than 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with autism. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's really 3 times more autistic boys than there are autistic girls. A lot of this comes down to the fact that society has higher expectations on girls than it does on boys. I know some people are going to get protective when I say that, but it's the truth. Autistic, or girls in general, have so much pressure on them. Where a boy is allowed to just be a boy. Boys will be boys. They can be rowdy. They can jump around. They can be loud. They can scream. But a girl, they need to be nice. And so those societal pressures can lead to earlier masking. Can you have autism and be hyperactive like ADHD without having ADHD? Sure. Yeah, nothing's preventing that. But I would definitely test for ADHD as well. About 50% of autistic people are also diagnosed with ADHD. He thought I was Brendan Fraser. Hey, that'd be cool. Hey, thank you all for being here. Thank you all so much. Thank you. And yeah, we do have a pre-screener in my bio. One of them is the MChat. It's for little kids that you can do if you're worried that your kid is diagnosed. And then we have another pre-screener for adults called the RADS 14 that you can check. Okay, what can stop this boy from spitting? Because I'm so over it. He is 6 and it's frustrating. I know it's frustrating. and you are so sick of this, and it's happening every single day, and no one else sees how hard it is for you. And I just encourage you to continue to be patient. And then I want you to look at the behavior, and I want you to look at what is happening in the environment when it's happening. What tends to evoke that behavior? Is it when you ask him to do something he doesn't want to do? Is it when he wants something he can't have? Does he just do it all the time because it's fun and it feels good? Depending on that answer is how we address that behavior. All right, everybody. Teddy says, I took RADS and got a 212 and my family doesn't want to accept it. Oh, Vanessa, is this pre-recorded? No, this is not pre-recorded. This is live. Okay, so the RADS is absolutely a valid measure as a screener for autism. However, it does not diagnose autism. You cannot say that you're autistic based on your RADS score. That should inform you on if you should go and schedule an appointment with a psychologist. So please keep that in mind. All right, you guys, I'm curious, who here is an autism parent? Put 1 in the chat if you're an autism parent or you think your child's autistic. Put 1 in the chat. Put 2 in the chat if you are autistic or suspect you're autistic. Put 3 in the chat if you're just here to learn, if you are just here to, maybe you're a professional. And then if you're a grandparent or a sibling, put that in the chat as well. I don't have a number for it, but put it in the chat. Okay, we got people from all over the place. Mother-in-law, love it, love it. You're learning ABA eyes. That's very cool. 1 + 1 + 2. Oh, you got 2 kids and you're autistic. That is beautiful. Okay, real question. What's the clinical line between someone being a little weird and autistic? Okay, so autism doesn't just mean that you're a little bit weird. Okay, that is a misnomer. There's no such thing as being a little autistic. It is a very clear diagnostic criteria that you have to go to a psychologist and they do a standardized test, typically called the ADOS, that can dictate whether you're autistic or not. And autism includes 2 major parts. It impacts your social behavior as well as sensory needs. And so those 2 categories, and there's a lot of things that fall underneath it, but social could be, it might be hard to make relationships. It might be hard to communicate well. You might not understand the social norms that are not written down, things like that. And then on this other side with the sensory needs, you might see repetitive behaviors like flapping your hands. Things might feel extremely loud and noisy. You're hearing, you're feeling everything at once. And so there's multiple aspects of autism. It's not just being a little bit weird. There's some people that mask their autism so well you'd have no idea. And then there's other people that are a little bit weird, but they don't meet the criteria for autism. Z says, oh my goodness, thank you so much, Wagner. I appreciate that. Do you think there are many people faking autism to excuse bad behavior or habits? Sibling here. I don't think you can fake autism. The way that it's diagnosed, it prevents a lot of that faking. And I know how it can feel as a sibling, that you feel like, you get in trouble for the littlest things, but then your sibling gets away with, doing way worse. And then they just say autism, and then they don't have to, they don't, give them the same treatment that they gave you. But I want you to remember something. Parents' job is not to treat their children equally. Their job is to know what each child needs and then parent them in the way that their child needs. And so I know it can be hard for you as a sibling, but it's very possible that your parents do feel as though your siblings' need and your need are different with regards to what they need. Okay, everybody, we're at 8,000 likes. As soon as we get to 20,000, I can go through the autism news of the day. I know Destiny has an update for us that we'll get to as soon as we're done with the autism news of the day, if that's okay, Destiny. What is the best way to discipline a toddler with level 2 autism? So discipline is an interesting word, and I think it depends on what you mean by discipline. What is your goal with discipline? If you're talking about my child is engaging in a behavior that I don't want them to engage in anymore, what can I do? That is a good place to start. But when you start by saying, how do I discipline them? Then by default, it's saying, how do I show them, that I'm the boss? How do I ensure they know I hold the power? Instead of the approach being, how do I support them to be their best selves? So I don't hate the term discipline, but it's a very vague term. when you have a child who's engaging in a behavior that you want to address, that you want to improve, typically there's a skill deficit. And I want to be very clear here that punishment without a replacement behavior is not effective. And so and I'm going to lose some support here, you guys. I might lose some followers. There can be some debate here. I know. But I believe that spanking is the caveman's approach to parenting. Even a child with autism. Spanking is the caveman's approach to parenting. What do I mean by this? Well, it's extremely simplistic. It is, I see bad behavior. I must hurt child, cause pain, teach child, don't do that. It's a very simplistic thing. It's people who do spanking is like, yep, it's the only way to teach them. Like they think they have this superior knowledge of how to parent, when in reality, they're thinking oversimplistically. The way that we address behavior for any child, but especially autistic children, is you need to look at, why are they engaging in that problem behavior? Are they engaging in that behavior because they don't have words to say the thing that they want? And that behavior that they're engaging in is the only form of communication that they have, and now you're punishing it out of them? Well, instead of punishing it out of them, they don't want to hit you. They would much rather just say the word of the thing that they would like. And so why don't we work on communication, work on skill building, work on the thing that is going to replace the problem behavior first, and then natural consequences for problem behaviors. For example, they throw their iPad on the ground. Well, guess what? Yeah, the iPad is going to go away. You mistreat your item, you're not going to be able to have that item. Natural consequence. But the moment that a child engages in a bad behavior, and then we go straight to hitting, I mean, all we're doing is modeling the very thing we don't want them to be doing. Oh, Desert Pros, that's a great place to put it. Instilling fear versus instilling understanding and confidence. We're at 12,000 likes, everybody. As soon as we get to 20,000, we do go through the autism news of the day. Hey, who do we have here that's new? Do we have some new followers today? Some new people seeing me for the first time? If that is you, if I just came across your For You page today, I want to know. Put FYP in the chat. Put FYP in the chat if I came across your For You page for the first time today. I want to know. I'll do a quick little intro. I do this every few minutes as we get started. Hey, Lexi, I see you on here. Thank you for being here. So I'm an autism dad. I'm also a board-certified behavior analyst. I've done ABA therapy for a long time, worked with people with autism for over a decade, and I am I run a company that provides services to people with, hello, thank you. Oh, guys, look at this. Who has the best wife? You guys, put hearts and wife in the chat. Show my wife how much we love her. She is amazing. She is amazing, you guys. Hearts and wife. Or W wife. You can do W wife. I think W means win. W wife, you guys. She knows me. Thank you, Brooklyn. Thank you. Okay, so I also run a company that provides services to people with autism and disabilities throughout the state of Utah. And my favorite part of my day is coming onto these live streams and having real conversations with you. And I have some big news, you guys. I might be breaking, let's see here. I might be breaking 40,000 followers today. Do you have any idea how crazy this is? 40,000 TikTok followers. I started this 90 days ago, you guys. I've started these live streams 90 days ago. And I am just incredibly grateful. And let's see how close we can get. I currently have 500 more followers, you guys, that I need. Be hitting that follow. We'll see if I can get there on this live stream today. It's possible. If y'all go crazy with the follows, if it says follow right there, Sandra, thank you so much. If you guys tap right there where it says follow, it would mean the world. It's going to get us there pretty quickly today. I'll be checking back in. As soon as we get to 20,000 likes, I will go through the autism news of the day. Let me go ahead and answer some questions here. Yeah, red-pilled? What does that mean? Biscotti, thank you so much for your support. I have 40K right now? Do I really? What does it say for you guys? Well, what do my followers say? For me, it says like 39,500, right about there. What's a good natural consequence when kids like to kick and hit others? Removing them from the environment or removing them from the attention that they're getting. What are they getting? What is reinforcing that behavior? Are they trying to get a reaction? Sometimes, look, my kid, do you know what reinforces him kicking? When my son kicks, he loves it when we say, no, no. And I know that because the moment we do, he repeats it and then he does it again and says no, no on himself and does it again. And he enjoys hearing us tell him no, no. And so us withholding attention when he is kicking is actually more punishing than us reprimanding him. You have to know your child. 39.5. Okay, what's weird is when I'm on the desktop, it says I'm at like, I have like 500 more followers or something. So it's kind of weird. Okay, my daughter has her ADOS on Monday. Is there anything I should prepare for? Okay, Caitlin, good question. The psychologist should send you some stuff to do online first, okay? So I'm going to recommend that you do that as quickly as possible, as early as possible, so that during the assessment, you're able to focus and observe and be there in the moment and not hurrying and trying to fill out all this other paperwork. That's my recommendation to you. And exciting that you finally got in. Thoughts on leucovorin? Oh, I'm going to get there. Actually, the breaking news of the day has to do with leucovorin today. Okay, someone else says that they see 40.0K. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, you guys. Some people see it, some people see a few hundred less. So it's fine either way. But we'll keep getting those likes up today. Thank you all for being here. Okay, I need to know if I have autism. Oh, we're at 20K. Okay, Destiny, thank you. Okay, you guys, it is time for the autism news of the day. I feel like I should have some background music to like transition over to the autism news of the day. So one of you guys should create that for me so I can play it. All right, let's go see what the autism news of the day is. There is. Oh man, where'd it go? Okay, GSK is one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world. GSK, and what's interesting is they have been pushing to get leucovorin approved for autism-like symptoms since last September. So this pharmaceutical company is saying, hey, we really want to be able to package this and sell it, but we need it FDA approved first. And so they've been trying. And just as of yesterday, they have officially withdrawn their application for FDA approval. They have officially withdrawn their application for FDA approval. What does this actually mean? Okay. So, guys, what it means truly is that there has not been sufficient evidence to show that leucovorin can support people with autism. There's a lot of anecdotes of parents saying it's been helping over the past few months, but the research articles that we have, there have been 5 clinical trials, and the most promising one, the one that supported the most people, that got us all so excited. I was so pumped. I still am optimistic, but it got retracted because it was full of errors in the data. And so they pulled the leucovorin. What was said, for some context, you guys, leucovorin's been around for a long time, but it was made really public in September with a press conference with the U.S. president and Senator Kennedy. Senator? No. What do we call him? RFK Jr. What's his official? He's over the Department of Health and Human Services. What is his official title? I don't know. He's over the head of DHHS. And they held a press conference, okay? And they announced leucovorin as a potential treatment for autism. Secretary, thank you, Secretary Kennedy. That's what I meant to say. Thank you, Desert. Now, I actually don't think it was the worst thing in the world that happened, because since then there has been so much popularity around that there are so many clinical trials going on right now, and we're going to have a very clear answer on what impact it can actually have. But GSK officially withdrew their application to FDA because that evidence is not there. With this big research study backing out, now the evidence is too small and too mixed to actually say that leucovorin helps children with autism. And so the official recommendations from other people is that leucovorin is not generally recommended for kids with autism at this point, but it is a promising treatment that we hope can gain traction and have more studies. So someone asked before about leucovorin. Well, it fit right into the daily news. So excited to be able to share that with all of you guys. All right. Over on the YT platform, I do answer more questions that come up just because it's a lot slower. So if you have a comment you're just absolutely needing me to read, hop on over to the YT platform, subscribe over there, and I can read. How can you tell if you should find a new ABA for your child? Oh, that is a good question. How do you know if you should change ABA providers? Okay, here's some things that I recommend not to do. Okay, if you have problems with your RBT, if you have an RBT who quits or you have a couple that quit, that is not a good reason to quit ABA. Staying where you are and solving the problem where you are is always recommended. My company that we run in Utah, if people come to us and they want to transfer from another company, we kind of resist. We say, hey, you're, oh, thank you. All right. We say, what was I even talking about? Guys, can you believe this? My wife brought in some French fries too for me, and now I'm even more distracted. I got, yeah, wife again, guys. I got some French fries. I'm not gonna eat on the live. Oh, transferring from an ABA company. Thank you. So when people try for our company to come to our company, I push back a little at first and I say, hey, look, how can we make it work at your current company? Because transferring is a lot of work. It's restarting, and you're typically better off to just resolve the concerns where you're at. And so when you have a concern, my recommendation is understand the chain of command with that company. And you can do that by finding out who the person's supervisor is and talk to them about it. So if you have problems with the RBT, you're not gonna solve your child's problems by switching companies. You're gonna solve it by talking to the BCBA. Now, if the BCBA is the problem, if they're not supervising, if they're not showing up for supervision in person, or you don't think that they're listening to you, like I see you say, Ash, then I want you to go and talk to their supervisor and express your concern. They want to make it right, okay? And you'll go advocate for your child and just say, talk to their clinical director and say, hey, look, we really want to make things work. Here's my experience. Can you help me understand this? And can you also help me come through a game plan so that this can work out for all of us? Try to work it out where you are. Now, if you try and it doesn't improve, then yeah, go and switch. But let's try to follow and stay where we're at. What do you think about play-based ABA over more strict ones, especially younger kids? Okay, play-based ABA. There are 3 levels of ABA that I like to look at, okay? True, developmentally appropriate play-based ABA. I'm talking about things like early start Denver model, PRT, people highly trained to play with your child. That is absolutely top tier. That is the best ABA therapy you can get. Below that are like more discrete trials where they're teaching at a table and trying, like, you can learn really well like that, but it's not really developmentally appropriate, but you can learn. Below that, and kind of the lowest form of ABA, is just playing with your kid and calling it ABA. I got to tell you, true play-based ABA is not easy to do. It doesn't just mean let the kid play and see if you can teach them some things. No, it is creating opportunities for learning, and so it is pretty hard to do. So hopefully they can teach the kids to play really well. Okay, Destiny, are you up to chat? I'd love to. I know you had some thoughts here. You wanted to share something with everyone. I get that job, and then we can invite some other people. Let me see. Oh, there you are. If you want to, Destiny, I just sent you a request.
Hello.
Well, hey, Destiny, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Did you get on the news?
No, not yet. I think it's going to be next week.
Oh,
But this is for TRICARE families, for military families. Um, and I didn't even know that this existed. So they have a few different programs. And right now we're trying to get Hudson in with an ABA program that does in-home therapy, but the BCBA portion is telehealth. Like the RBT will be in-home and the BCBA will be like on video chat with the RBT, which I know isn't ideal, but you take what you can get.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um,
That's when
and
that's when it should be used. That is the perfect
yeah,
example of when it should be used.
they said that TRICARE denies all of their claims. So I called TRICARE and I'm on the phone literally from 8 a.m. until like 4 or 5 in the
Oh
afternoon.
my gosh.
But I found out about a program. If you're a part of the extended family member program, then you're a part of ECHO, the extended care health option. And once you apply for that, and once you've got to get the provider, your child's provider, to fill out the form as well, and send in their diagnosis. Then your child can be a part of TRICARE's Autism Care Demonstration Program, which will
Oh,
then cover all those additional services, including ABA telehealth, any extra
what?
services that they don't typically cover. I didn't know this existed, so this is kind of a loophole for us to get him into therapy in the next couple months. The process is lengthy. It is such a pain. The process sucks, but it's much quicker than sitting on a wait list for years to get therapy.
Oh my goodness, that is a great thing for people to know. If they have TRICARE, look, TRICARE by itself will pay for ABA therapy, but the problem comes, like Destiny was explaining, is that TRICARE tends to have more rules. But it sounds like where Destiny is, there's no providers that can abide by those rules and provide services, and so there's a separate program within TRICARE that kind of expands those rules. It sounds like to make those services available. So what does the process look like to go through that? Are you
So we started the process yesterday. The first step is enrolling in the extended family member program. And you submit an application. It is DD 2792. You fill out the top 4 pages and your provider fills out the bottom 4 pages. You attach their diagnosis and you submit that. They
wow?
say within 3 business days they'll approve it, and then you call TRICARE with your EFMP code and they'll enroll you in the ECHO program and they'll assign you a coordinator. And the coordinator will get you enrolled in the Autism Care Demonstration Program.
And it only takes
So that
3 days
when
for them to process the application.
so it takes 3 days for them to process the initial application, but then you have to call. So that's just for the EFMP program. Then you have to enroll in ECHO. I'm not sure what the steps are for that yet. We haven't gotten our coordinator. And then once you're enrolled in the ECHO, it sounds like that's done over the phone. They'll enroll you in the autism care demonstration and assign you a coordinator. And that is what covers the extra services. If you're not enrolled in those programs, then those ABA billing codes will be denied.
Okay. Wow.
So if you look up ACD TRICARE, um, military1source.mil,
Do
it
we
will
have
pull
anyone
up all
else
the
on here on
information for
TRICARE?
you
Let's see.
guys.
Let's see if this impacts anyone. Put TRICARE in the chat. Put TRICARE in the chat if you have TRICARE. This is our military families, you guys. This is the people that deserve the best health insurance, and sometimes it's not always what they get. You got to fight. So we have a few people. We have a few people who are on TRICARE. This is great. So you should know TRICARE has a lot of rules to do ABA therapy, and Destiny, thank you so much for sharing this. Any other part of that you want to share with these people who are?
If you need more information, message me. But if you just look up Autism Care Demonstration TRICARE, just click that link and it'll give you the steps to enroll. The form is DD 2792. If your child is school age, you'll have to fill out the DD 2792-1 because there's a little bit more when they're school aged.
Yeah.
But it should give you all the steps. Like I said, it kind of sucks, the whole process, having to enroll into 3 different programs, but it's there. So if you need it, hopefully this will help somebody else, because if I didn't sit on the phone with them all day long and find somebody who is competent enough, then I probably wouldn't have ever known about this and he wouldn't have been able to receive therapy. So
Yeah.
look into that.
Destiny, thank you for sharing that, and that's the best news I've heard all day for you and your family. I really hope that this leads to getting services. And you know what? What a shame you had to be the one to go through that, and an ABA company didn't handle that for you.
they didn't even know, like, and they're still, so the company, they're saying the wait list is only 2 months long. I'm like, great. When I called to tell her, I was like, please don't take him off the wait list. There's a loophole for this. And she didn't believe me. She's like, I've been dealing with TRICARE for a long time and we've always been denied. And I'm like, well, it's because those families weren't enrolled in this program. They probably didn't even know about it. I didn't know about it.
Wow.
It's not like they're just handing this information out to you when you get diagnosed. This, like, they don't advertise this program. So I was like, please just give me a few days and then you can try to bill, just don't take us off the wait list.
That's great info. So you guys, whoever, all those people asking, TRICARE is the insurance that is given to our military families. And so it's like Medicaid, but for military families. And so
the form number is DD 2792. DD 2792. If you're a military spouse, you cannot submit that form yourself. It has to be the sponsor. It has to be whoever holds the DoD ID. You can fill it out, but it has to be all of the sponsor's information. If your child is school age, they need the 2792-1.
Destiny, this was great info for a handful of people. I'm going to get back to talking to people broadly. I appreciate you coming up, and I'll invite some more people up at the end of the live. So,
all right, chat to you later.
All right, bye, Destiny. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and continue on with the live today. I want to ask you guys a question. Is your house clean right now? If you're an autism parent, is your house clean right now? Put yes or no. Is your house clean right now? I have some thoughts. I have some thoughts on the cleanliness of homes because I am so stressed out. We made our house spotless yesterday, okay? And I made a video about this. We made our house spotless, okay? We put everything away. An hour later, I made a video. You guys should go check it out. But I made a video, and there's books everywhere in our living room. There's crayons, and if you look closely, not just crayons, but there's papers, and the crayons have been used to color on everything around there. There's tissues that are ripped up. I mean, to pieces, teeny pieces spread across the house. I mean, it is exhausting. We literally cannot clean the house faster than our kids can destroy it. And I have a 3.5-year-old and a 2-year-old, both diagnosed with autism. And they're not at the stage where they are assisting in the cleanup. And it's not easy to redirect them. And these things happen very fast. So, oh, guys, sorry. I'm not taking guests right now. I'm going to turn this off for now. And I'm going to answer questions in the chat for now. Okay. So yeah, not accepting guests. We're going to be talking to the chat for just a little bit, and then we'll accept guests here in a little while. So your house is the same, C-Brand. Guys, it's so exhausting. How do we keep a clean house? How do we keep a clean house? Does this get better? Tell me, does this get better? I imagine it does if my children stop making messes, but I'm worried my autistic kids are going to just make bigger messes. So Alexi's cleaning right now. It's constant. You can say you're cleaning right now, but what really happens is if your kid is still awake, it's going to still be messy. So what are important supports for level 1 autism at 11 years old? The level doesn't dictate what supports your child needs. I want to get that very clearly. I don't trust the level system. If you say they're level 1, level 2, level 3, and say what support do they need, I don't have an answer for you based on the supports. I want to know about your child. I want to know what are their interests, what are their struggles, what do they have a hard time with. If they're struggling with anxiety and depression, they need a therapist. If they have really high sensory needs and have a hard time meeting those sensory needs, they may need an occupational therapist. Okay, your definition and expectation of clean has to change when you have children. Yes, and especially if you have autistic children. Look, none of my kids, I got 4 kids, okay? And my 10-year-old and my 7-year-old, they've always been fairly clean. They would play with toys. We could get them to put them away. It was manageable. But now it is like you go to the bathroom for 5 minutes and you come back and your house is torn apart. Are there any form of tax incentives for kids on the spectrum? Okay, so there are some benefits. I wouldn't be the best to speak on every single one of them, but some that I do know of are specifically the ABLE accounts, which have some huge tax benefits. It's not like you get a tax credit simply because you have an autistic child. But what it does is if you're autistic, an ABLE account can be a savings account that you can have invested in stocks, and it grows tax-free. It's like a 529 or like an IRA, but what you can spend it on is anything for that child, for their daily living and the care for their disability. And so the ABLE accounts is a really good tax advantage savings account. My community are talking about virtual autism. Is that actually a real thing or just something people say? All right, you guys, have you heard of virtual autism? Put yes in the chat if you have, no if you haven't. Virtual autism. Let me talk a little bit about this. Virtual autism is not a real diagnosis. It is a term used to describe the observed impact that too much screen time has on children. There is some documented evidence that excessive screen time can lead to a lack of or a delay in social development. There can be social delays. You don't learn to socialize with people as well if you have too much screen time. That is a very real documented fact. However, being delayed socially is not the same as being autistic. Screens cannot give you autism. And they call this virtual autism. That's not a real diagnosis. It is simply what they use to describe that phenomenon. And I hate it because people confuse virtual autism and real autism, think there's overlap when there's not. Okay? If you have an autistic child, you need to know you did not cause this. It wasn't because you gave them a vaccine. It wasn't because you took Tylenol. It wasn't your parenting style. You don't just lack discipline you're not disciplining your child, right? You didn't just sit them in front of a TV too much. It's not due to a lack of social interaction. That one gets me the most frustrated. Look, all of you guys that are autism parents, remind me, put parent in the chat. If you're an autism parent, put parent in the chat. If this is you, you are among the most involved parents on the face of the planet. And anytime a person insinuates that your child's disability is because you're not paying enough attention to them, really frustrates me, because it's the exact opposite. Autism parents are the most involved. They pay the most attention. In fact, it's impossible to let go. You are paying attention to your child 24/7. It is akin to being on the battlefield, of being in a war zone, of the constant vigilance. There is research that has measured the stress impacts. And for people to go and say, "Oh, have you tried paying attention to your child more?" As if they think that they can just simply correct your parenting to parent the autism out of your child. Oh boy, Chico, we got a good comment here. Chico, I want to talk to you about this. Chico says you can't prove that vaccines didn't cause it because it was never studied. FDA and CDC admit it. Okay, you're right that in the past year, the CDC updated their website, which used to say for years that this has been studied widely and no correlation has been found between vaccines and autism. And what they changed it to is, it is not scientifically based to say vaccines do not cause autism. Do you know the CDC actually says that now? Let me read directly from the CDC. Yeah, they say the claim vaccines do not cause autism is not an evidence-based claim because studies have not ruled out the possibility that infant vaccines cause autism. This is the most absurd statement and should make all of us irate. Okay? Do you know why? This has been studied extensively. There have been dozens of studies across the world, millions of children finding no correlation. This isn't even just about causation. There's degrees to understanding science, okay? Here's how it works. First, you describe something going on, okay? That's description. Then you establish a correlation, okay, or prediction. So when this happens, when you get vaccinated, your kids get autism. That has to be researched and to say that there's a correlation. Beyond that is causation of we know that vaccines cause autism. So before you can get to level 3 of causation, research typically develops the second level, which is prediction or a correlation. And these dozens of studies have failed to even show a correlation. It hasn't even got to the part of being able to discuss causation because no study ever has indicated a correlation between vaccines and autism. Let me tell you that there are some limitations to the studies that have been done. So what they get at here, and this is the absurd statement here, is that why haven't we done randomized clinical trials? Did you know that there have been no randomized clinical trials studying vaccines and autism where you give a control group? Randomized clinical trial means, okay, so let's say 1,000 babies come in and 500 of those 1,000 we give vaccines. The other 500 we give a placebo. And then we're going to measure across those 1,000 people who is more likely to get autism. That's how you would study that. But did you know that no ethics board or institutional review board would ever approve that study? Do you guys know why? Do you know why it's unethical to do that study and why no internet or institutional review board would ever approve that study? Let me know. What do you think? Why can't they approve that? Why can't they approve? That seems like the easy way to do it, right? Lexi, there we go. Because vaccines are important. No, the reason they haven't done it is because there is already documented evidence that vaccines save lives. And so it is illegal in every country in the entire world to do a study that intentionally withholds medical treatment for someone when they don't know. These babies would have to live the first few years of their life thinking they're vaccinated and protected. But they're not really if they got the placebo. And so you cannot do this kind of study. Oh, Jen says false. All right, Jen. Good argument there. Wow. Great argument for me. You guys, I'm going to have to retract everything I just said. Jen actually just told me false. So I apologize for all my misinformation out here because Jen says false. Okay. Can ABA help with potty training? Level 1, 3.5-year-old. She does well for a day, then gets overwhelmed. Oh, T-Dub, you are working on one of the hardest things. Toilet training. Oh, the joys of toilet training. When you say she gets overwhelmed, tell me what that means. What does that mean with her behavior? What is happening? One of the things that I've noticed parents do is they try to ease their child into it out of fear of their child being overwhelmed. So they keep the diapers on and they keep everything the same, but they just try to have them sit on the potty on occasion. And that is like a very passive way of doing this. And it can work, but it takes a long time. If you work with ABA to do this, most of the ABA recommendations and curriculum will include immediately underwear only during daytime hours. And then after that, they go to they can keep the like pull-ups on at night or something, and then they do a sitting schedule, and it's a very intensive process. So, All right. Did Jen say something else? Did I miss something? She said false again. Okay. All right. We got a lot of smart people on here, you guys. Okay, we have another question over on the YT platform. How can I calm my 4-year-old when he is screaming and hitting and when he gets angry? He has level 2 autism. My son was diagnosed last month, and this is something new to us. Okay. How do you calm your child when they're having a bit of a meltdown? Jen. Oh, Jen says a retrospective study can be conducted. Yes, dozens have been conducted. We literally have millions of kids that have gone through that. Check out my bio. It's been done. If someone's saying it hasn't been done, they're lying to you. You don't think that retrospective studies have been done, Jen? Do you really think that retrospective studies have not been done? You can't do it retrospectively with a placebo. That's not retrospective. Retrospective is were they vaccinated or not? That's retrospective. Retrospective does not include a placebo. Retrospective refers to like looking back at people who were vaccinated and not vaccinated and then comparing the outcomes. And we do that. Like there have literally been dozens of studies that do that. And so, yeah. My son was a victim of vaccination injury. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry that your child went through that. That's like a 1 in a million children get a serious vaccination injury. That's wild. That I've actually had a handful of people that have had a serious vaccination injury come onto my live. But it's 1 in a million, and autism is not one of those injuries that happen from vaccines. Okay. But back to how to calm my 4-year-old when he is screaming and hitting when he gets angry. My recommendation, if your child is upset, the best thing that you can do is be calm yourself. You need to be calm. It can be so hard when you are feeling the overwhelm of the moment to be that person who is calm. And you feel like you being calm is letting your child get away with it. But that's not what that means. You can be calm and still not give in. If your child is having an extreme outburst, I'm not saying that you give in to everything, every demand that they have. I'm saying you need to be the adult who's calm in that moment. And then be there so that when they're ready to be calm, you're there with them. Okay. All right. All right, you guys. What's a vaccination injury, Kylan? Yes. Okay. I'll answer this. What's a vaccination injury? So a vaccination injury refers to with any medical procedure, there can be side effects. For example, vaccination injuries. Let me pull up. Okay, so there's most common and then there's most severe, okay? We all know the most common ones of vaccinations is like a fever, right? Some people call that vaccination injury. And in fact, I think it's something like a fourth or a third of kids who get a vaccination get a fever. And so that's a very common side effect of a vaccination. But it's about 1 in a million where there's a severe reaction. And what those are, let me pull this up. A severe allergic reaction. So that can be like right after trouble breathing, swelling in the face, throat, hives, low blood pressure. So you can have an allergy reaction. an allergic reaction. You can have an autoimmune condition where the immune system attacks nerves. You can have myocarditis, an inflammation of heart muscle or surrounding tissue. Thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome, an unusual blood clot. But again, these are very, very rare side effects of the vaccine. And most of these are fully reversible. The severe risks are actually greater for things like circumcision. This is what's interesting to me is there's a lot of people who are like, hey, I don't want the side effects of a vaccine. I'm not gonna get that. And then they're first in line to circumcise their child, which has a far greater likelihood of a severe reaction. Which even a circumcision, I can understand the benefits of. There are doctors who do still advocate for circumcisions, even despite the risks that can be there. An adult circumcision is terrible for anyone to have to go through, and so that might be something that a parent decides to do preemptively as a baby. But it's interesting when it's the vaccines are so dangerous, but those are way safer than any kind of circumcision that happens. Okay, all right, let's keep answering some questions, you guys. Okay, someone asked about medications for autism. So simply because your child is autistic does not mean that now they have to be prescribed a medication. There's no recommended default medication for autism or a diet or a supplement that just because your child's autistic you need to be looking into. Those come from fear-mongering. Is a lot of those supplements and diets. The medications, though, it's a little bit more complex than just like a flat answer of no. There are a lot of medications that can help anxiety. There's a lot of medications that can help with not being able to sleep. And those things are common with autism. How about medications to help your child with their gut health? Because a lot of kids with autism can get constipated, especially with the rigid eating that they have. And so there are medications that are often prescribed for kids with autism, but it's not because they're autistic. It's because they have a medical condition that treating with medication can absolutely help them be more comfortable and is important. Okay, what are the signs of a 15-month-old that they have autism? Let's ask about this, you guys. I do this quite often, but I think it's important. I want you guys to think back to when your baby was, when your child with autism was a baby. Okay, think back a decade if you have to. Think back to last year if you have to. What were the earliest signs that you picked up on that your child was autistic? Like, what were those first things that you look back and you're like, oh, I should have noticed that. I should have caught it then because he was always doing X, Y, or Z. What was it? Stimming is a big one. Spinning. Flapping hands. That's a big one. Spirit fingers. What are spirit fingers? Is that like this? Not looking when he calls your name. That was one of the first for my children, is not responding to their name. Kids love it when you call their name. Look, neurotypical kids, you say their name and it's like, whoa, me? Yes. And kids with autism, like, my daughter's the funniest because she knows we're trying to get her attention and she'll like kind of do one little side eye and then continue doing what she's doing. And so, that can be a sign. Pointing is a big one, you guys. Pointing. And so if they're not pointing by around 12 months, usually that develops 9 to 12 months. If they're not pointing at things, that can be a sign of autism. If you point at something and they don't look and they're over the age of 1, that can also be a sign of autism. Not pointing or looking at where you point. Bronx, that's spot on. Okay, so if you're wondering if your child is autistic, what I want you to do is to go ahead and fill out the MChat. You can find that anywhere online. I have it linked conveniently in my bio, but you can do it anywhere. This is what your pediatrician does at 18 months and 24 months. Oh, looking from the corner of his eye. Okay, yes. So this kind of thing here is pretty common with autism, and a lot of kids do that while they're spinning, and it's a sensory thing with their eyes. Oh, lining up toys. That's a big one. That's a big one. Lining up toys, not clapping. Okay, that's good. My daughter does that while she's spinning. Yeah, Ria, mine too. And again, I shouldn't say spinning. My daughter doesn't spin. She twirls, you guys. She always has a little dress on, so she twirls. What about weird noises? Yeah, so calling a child nonverbal is if they don't have words that they can say, it's kind of funny because nonverbal doesn't mean quiet, that's for sure. My son, he's 3.5, and he pinpoints the most obscure sounds. Okay. When we listen to music, he doesn't sing along to the song, but he'll like listen to like some obscure thing, like someone hitting the triangle in the background and imitate that spot on. When we flip through channels on the TV and it goes whoop, 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 he imitates that sound as I'm turning the channel, and he goes whoop, 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 and he's pretty good with it. He listens to when other people cough or sneeze. So we'll be sitting in church. You guys, this is embarrassing. Oh, I can tell you guys, you're my village. I can tell you guys, but we sit in church and it'll be like quiet, right? We're doing like sacrament. We're taking the bread and the water, and we're, supposed to be thinking and quiet and reverent, and someone will cough, and my son will very, very loudly copy that cough. Or if someone sniffs or any sound at all, he just goes and does a very exaggerated version of what they do. I don't know if your children do that at all, but that's something my son does. All right. Yeah, go ahead and keep asking these questions, you guys. This is great. My son has Gestalt language processing. Oh, wonderful. Okay. So very common within autism is Gestalt language processing, or GLP. If you have never heard of Gestalt language processing, put GLP in the chat. I want to know if this is something worth me touching on. Gestalt language processing, GLP. Put GLP in the chat if that's something that would be good for me to cover, if you haven't heard of that before. A lot of people. I want to see how common this is in autism. So Gestalt language processing is typically a description given by a speech-language pathologist in speech therapy, an SLP. And GLP, Gestalt language processing, is, let's see how common. It's possibly, okay, so SLPs, some research in the SLP literature suggests up to 50% of autistic kids process as Gestalt language processors. So this is a good thing to understand. So Gestalt language processing is when you understand language in a different way, and it describes a difference in how you learn it. So the best way that I can describe this, okay, is a typical young toddler who's just barely learning their first words, or a baby. Compare it to building Legos, and a built house out of Legos is like building your language. For a baby, you give them one Lego at a time. Mama, dada, car, more, dog, right? And you're teaching all these words, and then they start building their language. They build up this house with the Legos. A Gestalt language processor is different. Instead of giving them one Lego at a time, you give them the whole house. You say, oh, here you go. Here's all of language. And they take that. And so, like, for example, your child might say a full phrase, but they have no idea what it means. They might echo a full phrase. Their first word might be a sentence, but they don't necessarily know what it means. So you give them the whole house, and then you are taking one piece off at a time, and they're understanding piece by piece by piece. That is Gestalt language processing, and it's not necessarily like a a bad thing. It's just a difference in how they learn the information. It doesn't mean that they won't acquire language if they're doing that. Yes. Gestalt language processing and echolalia go hand in hand. Okay, so, well, it's kind of hard to say. So echolalia, if they're commonly repeating like one word, echoing is very common in language development. Even babies echo, right? You say mama, they say mama. That is how you learn language, how anyone learns language. But if their echoing becomes echoing entire phrases that they don't understand, that is included in GLP, in Gestalt language processing. My daughter taught herself how to read by 3, and I mean difficult words. Okay, so hyperlexia. Hyperlexia is very common in autism, where you have a child who might not respond to their name, but they can count to 100. They might not be able to answer the question, "How are you doing?" They might not be able to answer that, but they can read just fine, right? Like hyperlexia is fascinating because it's this being so skilled at the patterns and recognizing things and doing those things that are consistent, but then the social aspect of interacting with people and like communication overall can be a deficit. My kid speaks in metaphor. I love decoding her. Oh, Ebony Nikki, that is fascinating. I wasn't diagnosed until I was an adult, and it's so amazing how much has changed to see signs now. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're telling me. If you have a child with autism, it's a good idea and probably a very real thing that you reflected back on yourself after you got diagnosed with autism, or after your child got diagnosed with autism. I know I have. I've taken all the screeners. I don't think I'm autistic, but yeah, it makes you wonder. I still think autism, this is going to be a controversial take. I'm going to make a claim here. And I want you guys to tell me if you agree or disagree. I think that autism, a lot of people say, oh, autism is so overdiagnosed these days. It's such a trend. My claim that I'm going to make right now is that autism is underdiagnosed. Agree or disagree, autism is underdiagnosed. And as you put in there, I'm okay if people disagree, but I want to share my thoughts on here. And I think it's important that we say that as people talk about, oh, there's this epidemic of autism. No, there's not an increase in autism. There's no documented evidence of an increase in actual autism cases. We just finally defined what autism is in 2013. Before that, it was only those most profoundly impacted. So since 2013, with increased screening and a new definition of autism, we have been catching up on getting people diagnosed. And so is it contagious? No, it is not contagious. Sorry, that was a comment that came in. It was really underdiagnosed in the 70s when I was a kid. Yes, exactly. And if it was underdiagnosed then, all these adults are not diagnosed today. Some of them are getting diagnosed. We have so many adults who are not diagnosed, but they are autistic. You guys, autism is underdiagnosed. They think that the rate is high at 1 in 31. Just wait until we get all the adults diagnosed to impact that statistic. 1 in 20 boys are diagnosed. Imagine what the statistic is going to look like when girls are finally caught up and we test and include girls in the testing more often. The statistic is going to be only become more common. I'm not saying it's like 1 in 4 or something, but I think it's reasonable to say, 1 in 20, 1 in 25. That's my own personal belief based on how it shows in boys. What is the girls' numbers and why are they missed? Okay, I can explain that. So girls are diagnosed. So boys, it's 1 in 20. Girls, 1 in 70. Girls, 70. Boys are 3 times more likely to be diagnosed than boys. Or boys are 3 times more likely to be diagnosed than girls. That is wild, huh? Wild. And I'll explain why, but I want to talk to Free Soul first. My son's father isn't cooperating with tests and the insurance companies don't cover it. Why don't they? Your son's father isn't cooperating with tests? I'm so sorry. If a child has a parent where one wants to test for autism and the other doesn't, it puts you in a really hard spot. It puts you in a bind. Because I'm going to make a guess here that you as the mother are probably the caregiver of this child. Probably spends more time with you than with their father. And the father probably not only doesn't want him tested, but says things in a way that makes you feel like you did something to cause the differences in your child, that you're not parenting it well enough, that you are giving them bad food, that you're not disciplining your child, that you're being overly sensitive, that you just need to suck it up and give your child more attention. I've heard this time and time again, that the person who is outside of the home, not typically with the child, has the most to say about it not being autism. I want to address one more part of this. Why are parents ever resistant about being evaluated for autism? I have some observations here. I have seen so many parents who feel like their child being autistic does not line up with what they envisioned for their life. Quite often, the parent envisioned neurotypical kids that were going to be playing sports, that were going to be, cool kids in school, that were going to go on and get married and have kids of their own and all these things that they envisioned for their life. But guess what? That was what you wanted. And they're their own person. I also hear people say that I don't want to give my child an autism label because I don't want it to harm them. I don't want them to feel bad about themselves. I don't want it to hold them back. So I don't want to go get tested. That is also harmful. Do you know why that's harmful? What that child actually needs is support. And what you are doing by not giving them that label is you are withholding necessary support that your child needs to grow and to learn. Your child, you might not want to hear this part, but your child's going to grow to resent you. When your child's an adult, and still autistic, by the way. That's how this whole autistic thing works. It doesn't go away. They're still going to be autistic when they're an adult. When they're an adult and they're looking back at their life and how hard it was to make friends and how hard it was to get hired for a job, to maintain a job, when they're looking back at how hard it was that they got laughed at and they didn't understand why, that everything seemed to be much harder for them than other people. They're going to go to a therapist, and the therapist is going to say, have you ever thought about getting diagnosed with autism? They're going to go and they're going to get diagnosed. And then they're going to say, if my parents would have just got me tested when I was younger, I would have had the support throughout my life. You're not protecting your child by not giving them the label. The label is, the autism is there whether you label it or not, but the support isn't. Get the evaluation done, you guys. My sister is one of those moms, unfortunately. Yeah, yes. I see a lot of people like that. And it's the fear of the label. And I think putting it in perspective of like, look, autism doesn't go away. It's not something people grow out of. And the label isn't harmful. There's nothing wrong with being autistic. Some of the greatest minds ever have been autistic. Yeah, autism is a disability. It needs support. It needs care. But also, they have very real value just because they exist. Oh, Shelby, my kid just broke his fifth TV today. Oh, I'm so sorry. That starts getting expensive. Um, okay, this is interesting. I think self-diagnosis of autism, this is on the YT platform. I think self-diagnosis of autism is overdiagnosed and it undermines those truly on the spectrum. I agree with that. I think self-diagnosis is overdiagnosed. I don't think people should self-diagnose, but I do think a lot of them probably are autistic. However, when we go and we get evaluated, remember, you're not trying to get an autism diagnosis. You're trying to get clarity. You're trying to understand what is going on. Okay. I think diagnosis of, okay. My husband and I did not see eye to eye when it came to testing. I said yes. He said no. He is just a boy or he'll grow out of it. It's a challenge we overcame together. With our second, we both knew. Yeah, you guys, it's going to be natural to have that for a second. And you work through it together, and then you get on board to support. And if it takes longer than a month or so to get on board, well, you got to be a little bit more drastic with it. But yeah, it's normal to question. I didn't expect to be an autism parent. All right, you guys. A little bit of an intro about me, and then I'm going to go ahead and invite some people up here, and we can have some more conversations. I am an autism dad. I have 2 children diagnosed with autism. I'm a board-certified behavior analyst. I run a company in the state of Utah that provides services to people with autism. My favorite part of the day is coming on these live streams, talking to my village here, building the support. I love it. I'm going to invite Lexi up here and then go ahead and request up anybody else if you want to come up and have a conversation. And if you have a question, feel free to request up and I'll answer those questions. Lexi, how are you doing?
Hey, Kylan, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. My wife was real mean though. She put some French fries in front of me and I can't eat it while I'm talking. And so my eyes just keep going down to them and thinking, oh man, I want to eat.
Good job distracting him, Brooklyn.
Anything new with you? Anything new with you, Lexi?
Well, actually, I just finished my 3-month appointment with Axel's DDD worker,
Oh,
so
wow.
the developmental, yeah. Um, so we've actually his yearly appointment is in a couple of months, but every 3 months you have to have an appointment with them to go over progress and stuff like that. And from where he started to where he is now, the progress has been significant. After receiving ABA, occupational
Wow.
speech, feeding, like all of these therapies that he's going to, and we're seeing a lot of really good progress in him. So it was actually this time I was not disappointed or sad when he left the appointment. So it was a pretty good
Hey,
appointment.
you know what? I think the initial intakes are always the hardest because what they're doing is they're comparing how is your child to a typical child, right? To a neurotypical child. How does your child compare? And then once they have that baseline, then from there, they're able to focus on where's the progress. So you see that in some of these follow-ups. You see that a lot in school. The initial school meetings are rough because they give norm reference data. They say, oh, wow, he's in the bottom 1 percentile of kids his age. It's like, I don't want to hear that. But then after that, they say, hey, look, this is where he scored. This is where he is today. We're so glad about this progress. Very
Yeah.
cool.
And yeah, I agree. Like the school ones are still a little hard. IEP meetings are still a little difficult because they still compare them to like neurotypical children and it's
Yeah.
still hard. But the DDD ones are the ones that I usually dread them because I'm like he hasn't made any progress or anything like that. But they also remind me sometimes that the small progress is actual progress because sometimes focus as parents on them doing the things like going to the bathroom or wiping themselves or,
Yeah.
like all of these major steps that we think that our children should be doing or we're told or society or whatever is telling you that your child needs to be doing. But with DDD, they're like, oh, he goes to the bathroom and he wipes himself at least one time a day. That's awesome. That's progress. And I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, that is because he wasn't doing it, 6 months ago or 3 months ago or whatever the timeline is.
Yeah, we
So
celebrate that progress. That's
I
great.
enjoyed it.
Hey, I'm
Yeah.
glad it went well. I'm gonna go bring up some people. Is that okay?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. I feel like Caleb, have we talked to you before? I can't remember, Caleb.
Yes, we have.
I was actually on here I think last week or earlier the week, asking about adult autism and testing, things like that.
Oh, yes. Got it. What can we do for you, Caleb?
I got a 101, so some kinds of potential adult autism. My questions were, as an adult, how important is testing? What are some proper resources? It doesn't seem like my insurance properly covers testing.
Oh, no. Your insurance isn't going to cover it?
It doesn't seem like it will cover a large enough portion to where it would be cost effective for me.
Is it because you have a deductible?
Yeah, I think would all be within the deductible. So.
Yeah, that's where it gets hard, and you might need to time it right. Some things that we do is like, if you have a procedure in the family happen, then you time it with that during that time. And I mean, one of the best things to do now is like if you have talked to a therapist or if you've done the screeners yourself, you can't say you're autistic, but you absolutely can say that you suspect that you're autistic. And really, like, you won't get the same level of validation in yourself. And I would still recommend, like, pursue that diagnosis or that evaluation as soon as it makes sense with your insurance. And that might be waiting to time up multiple procedures at once. But then talk to, you can have a therapist that specializes in autism. You can explain the situation, and that can still be beneficial.
As far as resources with alpha therapy, because I do plan on looking at therapy and things like that, what kind of resources can I look at that maybe will help me to better understand symptoms, things like that, likelihood, ways to handle things. If I do, I don't know if the word mild is the right word, but a mild form of autism.
Yeah.
Just certain specific things are kind of like, for me, yeah, that might be that.
Yeah. You're the therapist is really where it's gonna come down. Like, you can read, you can find books, and you can connect to it. I've heard of a lot of good resources of people. I don't know if people in the chat, if you have books that you'd recommend, feel free to put it in the chat, and that can be good. But I will say that, like, autism looks differently in everybody. And so you talking to a therapist and say, hey, look, this situation was hard for me. And then your therapist breaking it down and saying, look, like, part of autism is this, and this is what we're seeing. Like, go easy on yourself here. Like, this is hard for you. And maybe look at it from this point of view.
Caleb, when Kylan is speaking, can you just mute because you have a little bit of a background? Sorry.
Is that better?
Yes, way better.
Yeah, that is better.
Okay.
A lot better.
Yeah, I just put my headphones in, so I was actually just thinking maybe it's gonna be an echo.
Yeah, I wish I had like a much better answer for you. And like, most of my professional work is with people with like, I do work with a lot of adults, but most of them are have higher support needs. I have some, advice, but I feel like it's limited from that. I mean, I'm curious too, like, what support do you feel like you're missing? What do you need? And what are you looking for? Is it just education to see where autism fits in for you if you are diagnosed? Or do you have specific struggles that you want support with? Like, hey, I need accommodations at work, or I'm restricted in my eating and I want help, talking to someone about expanding the variety of foods that I eat. Are there things that you are personally hoping that you can work on as a result of this?
I think most of it is education right now. I did mention to you, I believe when we chat the first time, picky eating has been something I've struggled with.
Oh, wow.
I have some things I've been trying to do to improve that, but most of it's just trying to get education on it, understand it, see if it actually fits into my life and where I can.
Yeah. And it looks like you did the RADS R, right? Is that what you did?
Yes.
Okay. There's also the ASQ. Have you done that one yet?
I have not done that, no.
So you can go and do the ASQ. It's an additional one. I'm trying to remember. Hold on.
And
Maybe it's not the
Caleb with
ASQ. Maybe there's another one.
the food aversion things, my son is currently in feeding therapy, and it's taken us 4 months to get him to eat apples. So the only thing I would suggest about the food stuff is that it takes a long time. It's not something that's gonna happen overnight, so give yourself grace. You're doing an amazing job. But just give yourself grace and know that it's not gonna be something that's gonna be like from one day to the next. Don't stress out about it
Absolutely.
too much.
Okay,
Absolutely.
it's
Thank you.
the AQ, Autism Spectrum Quotient. ASQ is different. It's for children, and so AQ it should be 50 questions, self-report. They also have a short version, but it could be good to just have a perspective on multiple screeners, inform yourself as best as possible, and then that's kind of the best. I wish I could point you in better direction, but please keep staying around and sharing your journey with us. We want to hear when you do finally go and get that evaluation done.
Absolutely, no. And I will say on the the food thing, I did briefly go through that as a child, but we only went to one lesson, and my mom was like, "Oh, well, all she did was talk to you for an hour."
Yeah.
So, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, "But mom," I didn't. We didn't push it at that time, so. So looking at resources now. So I appreciate all your help. Thank you. And my only other question would be, there are some people in my life that I suspect their child may have autism, but I'm not sure how to approach that with them.
Yeah.
Any advice on that?
Yeah.
In an appropriate, delicate way.
I have some mixed feelings on this. The first is you got to know someone really well and be really close with them if this is something that you're going to bring up to them. You know, like if it was one of my sisters and it's one of their children, absolutely, I would have a way of sharing my thoughts just based on what I know, and I have confidence in my relationship with them of how that could be heard and and heard from them. What I would advise against, though, is, you know, if this is like someone that you don't see often, if it's like a friend from work and they have a kid, it's okay that, you're not the one pointing it out.
Okay.
We don't have to, go out and seek everybody and find everybody. But one thing that you can do is set yourself up as a resource. You can share like, hey, look, I've been reading a lot about autism. Like, this is really interesting. I'm diagnosed with autism, or I'm looking at getting diagnosed, and share the things that you know. And that way you're a place that they can go to when they have questions. You should be reassured as well that if they're going to a pediatrician, they're having a screener done at 18 months and 24 months. And so if their kid's older than that, then they must have been missing the screener. But if it's younger than that, you may not have to be the one that does bring it up. The doctor might bring it up to them.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the info there. Thank you.
Of course, Caleb.
Most of them are on the older side, but yeah. Thank you.
All right. You have a good one. Caleb. I knew he looked familiar. I knew it. After talking to him, I was remembering the conversation. Okay, you guys go ahead and be putting some questions in the chat. I like mixing some of these things up. I'll answer some questions. Let's see here. What are your thoughts on homeschooling versus public schooling for my autistic son? He's 4. This is such a personal decision, and there's not one right answer. Okay, and I know you don't want to hear that from me, but let me, as an autism dad, let me share the thoughts that go through my head. School resources I pay into. I am already paying for it with my taxes. And there are some really good supports. Under IDEA, there's a lot of protections for my child at school. And so I am first going to see what supports the school can offer me. I'm going to go through the assessment. I'm going to get to the point where they talk about what the services can look like for my child. And when I went through that, I was lucky enough that they said, based on the score, your child is qualified for a one-on-one therapist or paraprofessional who is trained in ABA for 15 hours a week. And we've loved it. It's been amazing. And but if they would have said, hey, look, he can come to our special ed classroom. There's 15 kids in here. We have a teacher. We have one para that helps out. He'll be safe. He'll be fine here. We'll be able to work on some things. I would say, you know what? He's going to learn better with different therapies that I can do during the week. I'd much rather have OT and speech and ABA at home and, for a couple of years work on things on my own. So remember, like if your child can't communicate, if they're harming themselves or others, if they're doing these things, there's some behaviors and skills that need to come first before we're worried about them academically. And especially if they're young, if they're only 4 years old, they've got time to catch up. Let's focus on those skills and behaviors that are really going to help most in catching up.
I found a good question for you, Kylan.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat asked if it was hereditary because her brother has at the time what was called Asperger's.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And does she suspect that she's autistic, or does she have a child who's autistic? Did she say?
She didn't say. That was just the whole question.
Okay, let me tell you what that may mean. Autism is absolutely genetic and hereditary. That does not necessarily mean that it is always passed down, or that if a child is autistic, that the parent is always autistic. But those genes that impacted autism developing during pregnancy were passed down from you. And that does mean that siblings, if there's someone diagnosed with autism, there's a 20% chance that their sibling is autistic. That's 1 in 5. And so, and if you're autistic, that's about the same as passing it down to your child, about 20% chance of passing it down. Now, if you have identical twins, that percentage goes way up. The identical twins, if one is autistic, the other one is autistic about 80 to 90% of the time. And so we do know it's largely genetic. And let's see, from the mother or both parents? Both parents. Both parents. There's genes. We have not pinpointed one over the other in how often it's passed on. Pregnant now with second. So if your first is autistic, then it's good to be aware of it. It's still most likely your second child is not going to be autistic. There's an 80% chance, but they are more likely to be autistic. So it's good to keep your eye out for that and notice it early, because the earlier you detect it, the quicker you're able to start with therapies and supports.
I found another good question. It says, what are some strategies on finding an ABA program for a child? I am on a 12-month waiting list.
Oh, no. Don't do a 12-month wait list, you guys. You're missing out on too much therapy if you're waiting 12 months. I think Destiny is such a good example of this. She was on a long wait list, and then some stuff happened in her state to where they called her and told her it's an indefinite wait list, and she is fighting. She is fighting, man. She's talking to news agencies. She is on the phone with her insurance about like getting telehealth approved for ABA therapy. And so my big thing is don't settle on one wait list. And wait lists aren't really, they don't always reflect the order that people sign up. A lot of providers will give more attention to those in most need. And how do they know that you are most in need? Because you're calling them all the time and you're saying how bad you want it. And they want people that are going to be serious about getting it. They don't want to bring a parent on who's going to, miss out on a bunch of sessions and decide that they don't want the service shortly after. They want those ones that are annoying and calling all the time. So get on multiple wait lists and then be calling and checking in regularly so that you can start services. Let's
You
see.
want another one?
Yeah.
Um, as Hannon said, I have a 12-year-old on the high functioning side, and she also has ODD, ADD, ADHD. Any advice?
Ooh. Yeah. Um, so autism, how old? 11? I'm trying to find this one. So,
Yeah, it's further up there.
okay. So it's 11 years old. That's yeah. Okay. So, ADHD,
12-year-old, sorry.
88, oh, 12-year-old, ADHD
Hmm.
and, autism do co-occur quite often. If someone is autistic, then, about 50% of the time, uh, or 50% of people who are autistic also are diagnosed ADHD. And this can be a lot. And so I want, more than anything, I want you to have some perspective for your daughter. And the ODD diagnosis makes me wonder too if, PDA is better fit. If there's ODD and autism, most likely that is a PDA profile, which is not officially recognized in the US in the diagnostic manual. But in the UK it is, and, I would be surprised if it's not included in the next version. So, pathological demand avoidance, ADHD, and autism. And what it sounds like to me is one, ADHD and autism, they fight each other. They are really challenging to do both, to have both ADHD and autism. If you're a parent parenting a child with both, that is incredibly challenging because they want different things. ADHD wants variety, they want novelty, they want, impulsivity. And autism wants consistency and routine and sameness, and those two things can conflict with each other. So this can be really hard on a child. And then you bring, PDA in the mix of pathological demand avoidance and this really strong craving for autonomy. Just understand that your daughter's going through a lot. She doesn't want to be mean. She doesn't want to be rude. She doesn't want to make you have a hard time. But internally, her body's not regulating like it should. And that understanding goes a long way. One of my biggest recommendations for you, since we're seeing PDA here or demand avoidance, is give your child as much freedom and control over their choices as possible. And one of the best ways you can do that is through forced choice. So this is a specific recommendation you can do with your child today. Instead of saying, hey, go brush your teeth, you're going to say, all right, so it's going to be bedtime here pretty soon. Do you want to brush your teeth now or do you want to wait till after your show ends? Oh, after my show ends. Okay, yeah, that's great. I'll let you go and do that when the show's over. And then it puts it into their hands. They chose it. A lot of PDA, it's like, I don't mind doing it, but you better not tell me what to do. And the moment they choose and that they have input, then they're able to complete that task. That is one recommendation that I fully support. Help, I have
How
both.
about,
My doctor
oh,
says I
good.
can't have both. Interesting. Can't have both what? I'm wondering, do you think she's talking ADHD and autism?
I think it's ADHD and autism. Yeah,
Okay, let me tell
because they're
you,
conflicting.
yes, they are conflicting, but you can absolutely be diagnosed with both. Your doctor's probably an older doctor. Is that right? Is your doctor a little bit older? Because it used to be that way. Before 2013, you could not be diagnosed ADHD and autistic. They would say that ADHD is covered in that autism diagnosis. But now that's not true. They are completely different diagnoses. But it sounds like it sounds like he is interesting. He's diagnosed with ADHD, but you're wondering if he has autism. Well, that changes it. Your doctor isn't the one that can diagnose autism. This is an easy answer. Guys, you can ask your pediatrician for a referral for an autism diagnosis, but most of the time you're able to just go and get an autism evaluation without even a referral. Your pediatrician isn't the one that diagnoses autism. They can screen you, but they send you off to someone who specializes in it. And so you can go and you can just Google psychologist near me who diagnose autism diagnosis near me, autism evaluation near me, And you can call, you can ask all these psychologists. Now, sometimes your insurance requires a referral, but the psychologist will let you know that. And if that's the case, you can just take a screener and email that over or call the doctor and say, hey, I took the MChat. I scored a 18. That puts me in high likelihood of autism for my son. I would like a referral to such and such psychologist to be evaluated. Oh, you're saying that your doctor doesn't believe that you can have both. Your doctor's wrong. You need a new doctor. If your doctor, look, a doctor is a big part of your care team. And if you have both autism and ADHD, and your doctor doesn't believe you can have both, you're not going to get the care that you need. There are very real medications that can help address ADHD. Autism, it's not so much yet. There are some promising prospects out there. But you need a doctor that can understand both. All right, you guys. Well, guess what, everybody? We are coming to the end of the stream today. We are getting very close to 40,000 followers. Maybe by the end of the day, if I get lucky. Maybe I'll try to make a video and see if it can post. If not, we'll get there tomorrow. But I appreciate you all being here. You guys should know I go live every single day. Autism means the world to me. It is my entire life. It is all I think about. I read about it all day. When I go to work, I'm working to support people with autism better. When I'm relaxing, I'm on here with you guys talking about autism. And please make sure you're following because you don't want to miss the daily lives. We learn together. You probably saw me. I pulled up research as we talked and I learned things. Some things I learned today is that an alternative screener for autism is the Autism Spectrum Quotient, the AQ for adults. I also learned about how common it is to, what was it? There was something about, Gestalt language processing is about 50, as common as 50% in kids with autism potentially, according to SLPs. I mean, we learn all the time here together. I know some, but we learn together. So make sure you're following. Join our live tomorrow. We go live usually around noon Eastern time. Today was an hour later. Hit Lexi a follow as well too, you guys. Lexi's our wonderful moderator. Destiny in the chat too, if she's still here, is wonderful. Thank you for all the other moderators as well. Yeah, we'll have a wonderful day, everybody. See you later, Lexi.
Okay. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.